Hey, Ron Janish here. This is the 2nd of April, so no more April Fool stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the list of these items here. I'm going to start from the bottom and go up and give you some insights that you probably will not get elsewhere unless you spend a lot of time looking at this and have the same sources I do. Okay. Number one, don't count on a vaccine. Why? Well, because they tried to make a vaccine for the SARS virus. And what they found was when they give people the vaccine and they get the virus again, yikes, they die. Not a good idea. So unless they come up with a much better vaccine than they had for the SARS virus, watch out. And the reason the focus is on the SARS virus is, remember, what this thing is called. It's in technical terms, which I'm not good at espousing. It's very, very similar. Okay, it's like the kissing cousin of the SARS virus. This COVID-19 thing. Okay. Okay, let's go to number 4, vitamins from the store. Two things you can get that people believe to be effective. I personally take D3. I buy it at Costco, cheap stuff. An alternative to D3 is spending a lot of time in the sun. It enhances your respiratory system. Uh, you take a couple thousand units, and that's one little tablet usually, and you're done. Okay. The other thing that's supposed to be good is zinc. I don't know the particulars, but the source that tells me that is really smart and has a whole bunch of piled high and deep education, and also is an MD. Uh, Number 3, if you get the virus, you probably want to get your hands on a CPAP machine. If you can at all avoid the ER and the hospital system, and you aren't really ready to go there, but you want to get your hands on a CPAP machine. Now, what does that look like? Well, let's take a look if we can find one. Um, what do I mean here? CPAP. Boom. And CPAP machines. Here we go. Okay. Now they've got all kinds of CPAP machines out there. Uh, if I was looking for a CPAP machine, I would not be buying these ridiculously high-priced things. I have 3 personally. I'll tell you. But I get them at a tremendous discount when I buy them for myself, and I rarely do that. But you can find these out there. There's a lot of people that have them, and these are people that have them sitting in their closet or whatever. They don't use them because they're kind of annoying to use. You got to wear this mask and all this other stuff. So these are people that snore a lot and don't want to snore as much. Okay, and so you want to have a CPAP machine. Why? Because a CPAP machine will function as a ventilator light. A ventilator will usually have you knocked out and having air pumped in and pulled out, and it's a machine that breathes for you. CPAP helps you breathe better. Okay, it pushes air into your lungs without you being knocked out necessarily, and you could be sleeping. Okay, so that's always good. Okay, so you want to do that, and if you notice, they're now starting to talk about CPAP machines when they can't find ventilators. About time. Just to pat myself on the back, that's one of the things I pushed in the last video I put out weeks ago. Number 2, the Imperial College study. This is the most recent one. Imperial College is this university in England, and that's where the really smart folks are, and they do a lot of crunching with data. And what they've figured out is that the case fatality rate, so out of the people who actually get the virus, what percentage of them die, is somewhere between somewhere between 0.2%, so twice as many as the flu, okay, and 2%, which is like 20 times as many as the flu. And they really can't model it any better than that, right? But that's what they found so far by looking at all these numbers they get out of Italy and other reliable places. Okay, now the best ways to avoid getting the virus. Excuse me, I got a cough. Okay, well, let's bottom up. Let's start with air filters. If you go on Amazon.com, you can find a variety of air filters. I found one that claims to do a wonderful job cleaning the air and getting viruses out, and without using ozone, and it goes for close to $1,000. Okay, very expensive. So you have that. Um, and I don't know, this may be a legitimate item. Chances are it was on Amazon.com a year ago. It isn't something that just popped up. There's other air filters out there. Some of them are HEPA air filters, and they really don't necessarily do a great job of getting that out there, but they have other gadgets that use ozone, which is supposed to really knock all the crap out of the air. So as long as you use one of these ozone machines when there's no one in the room and nobody goes in the room for a half hour until it's been off for a half hour, that usually clears it up pretty well. Okay, and I have one of those, and I've got that kind of stuff. Then there's another gadget that is available, and that is a personal negative ion generator. So this is something you can wear around your neck like a pendant. How well these work, I don't know. But if they spew out low amounts of negative ions, and they're putting it out when they're positioned in the chest, the assumption is that the air that the person breathes is going to have the negative ions in it, or it will have been cleared by the negative ions. So if this thing works, it could be like, holy shit, that's really good stuff. Okay. Then let's move on up on how to avoid getting the virus. Avoid singers. I kid you not. This is the LA Times. There was a group of people in Mount Vernon, Washington, that are in the choir. And normally choirs are wonderful, huggy, feely groups. And they got together on the 10th of March. And only 60 of the 100 and some odd member choir showed up. But out of those 60 people, they were singing for 2.5 hours, and before they came in, they had hand sanitizer to clean themselves up with, and they didn't really do a lot of handshaking or hugging or anything like that, like choirs only do. They just did a whole lot of singing. Well, what they found was 45 of the 60 people got the virus. Now, this is why you want to avoid singers or people actively singing, is because when people are singing, they are doing an incredible job of pushing air out of their lungs. So that's why you want to avoid singers, because if any of them have the virus, chances are you're going to be getting some of the droplets in the air, some of the virus droplets, and it's virus droplets that are the problem. Okay? So, and here's a beautiful sample situation that you need to understand of how this virus works. If you are in an aisle in a store, good old supermarket, and you're examining whatever's on the shelves, looking at how many calories or how many vitamins or what kind of crap is in this food that you're thinking of buying, and you're facing that shelf. If 25 feet away there are two people, and one of them is facing you, and they're having a discussion, and if one of them is facing you and is 25 feet away, or even 10 feet away or whatever, and they're having this discussion, and one of them is facing in your direction, as they're having this discussion, this would be very normal behavior. Chances are they are pushing the virus in your direction. Now, this is not something I picked out of midair. This is according to an MIT study. They say social distancing isn't enough. It really, because somebody can be pushing that virus out 27 feet. All right. So, if you see somebody speaking in your direction from your left or from your right, or anywhere, or even in front of you, you probably need to have some personal protective gear on. And here are two things that I find extremely useful. Simple things. The mayor of Los Angeles is wised up. He's now pushing wearing something over the mouth and nose. Now, initially it might be a bandana, a scarf, whatever, just to keep the crap out, the droplets out. And the reason I say bandana, scarf, whatever, not mask, because the medical grade masks just aren't available. And if whatever you can put over your mouth that's going to keep the crap out and your nose is going to be helpful. But that's not enough. See, when those droplets are going through the air, they are also hitting your eyes. Okay. Now, so if they hit your skin, hit your cheek, not a big deal unless you take your hand, rub your cheek, and put that into your eyes or your mouth or your nose. That can be a problem. But generally speaking, those droplets can hit you if you're standing in a store and somebody to your left or your right is speaking in your direction. That's 10, 20 feet away. So what's the answer? Well, in addition to that thing that covers your nose and mouth, you want to go ridiculous, wear a motorcycle helmet. But if you don't want to get ridiculous, because now the advantage of a motorcycle helmet is that will definitely keep all the stuff away from you because of the plastic shield in the front and the plastic side and all that other stuff. But if you don't want to get ridiculous, then consider getting one of those plastic shields, and they're available on the internet, that you see some of the hospital workers wearing. Okay? These plastic shields will protect you from virus droplets in the air. Now, when you take them off, what you do is you first get one of those nice little wipes from Clorox, preferably, or Lysol, whatever, and you wipe it down, because if there is any viruses or contaminants or whatever on that shield, you want to knock it out right away. Okay, and then you just throw away the thing, and you're done. So this is how to avoid the virus. And by the way, America can get back to work, in my opinion, by using the protective gear I've suggested, because it will flatten the curve. It'll flatten the curve dramatically if you wear some kind of mask and then some kind of face shield. You will get very little virus in your system, if any at all. And what they believe to be so about the virus is that if you get a little tiny bit of it, kind of like having a little tiny bit of beer, it's not so bad. You might even get immune to the virus and develop antibodies. But if you get a whole lot of virus in your face, and if you French kiss with somebody who has the virus, for example, or if you stick your nose in their mouth, you're going to get a whole lot of virus. And that's like drinking a couple of bottles of vodka, right? Not a smart thing to do. So that's how you get a really nasty thing on the virus. So I hope this helps you out. Stay well. Bye.